Hello YouTube. Robert Alvarez, the Psychic Witch, also known as Mr. Lighting on a Fan. And yes, I have lighting over there, I have lighting over here, and I have the fan over there. How you doing? I do hope and pray that you and yours are happy and healthy, safe and well. Right now the time is approximately 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time, and the date is Wednesday, December 29th, 2021. The moon is waning in Sagittarius, and the sun is transiting in Capricorn. I am very much looking forward to a new moon in Capricorn, since I have Sun, Mercury, and Venus in Capricorn. But before I forget, today is the 4th day of Kwanzaa, and I was very happy to receive an email from Isis Asare, who is the founder of Sista Sci-Fi, which is a website devoted to science fiction and fantasy, Afrofuturism, and magical realism that is written by women of color, specifically Black women and First Nation women, featuring characters that are also Black women and First Nation women. And today's Kwanzaa Principle is Ujamaa, which means cooperative economics. To build our own businesses, control the economics of our own community, and share in all its work and wealth. I am so massively digging these beautiful principles of Kwanzaa. I never knew how illustrious and how magnificent Kwanzaa's principles are. In fact, I never even knew what they were until a few days ago. Anyway, so welcome to the official video for the January 2022 entry for the Many Moons 2022 Lunar Planner. And I'm going to have my awesome audiovisual person for my YouTube videos, more commonly, also known as Drake rather, do a close-up of the massively gorgeous cover of this year's edition. And I once again must say that Sarah Faith Gottesdiener, or Goddess on Instagram, absolutely outdid herself with this. It is just beyond gorgeous. And it's so funny because I forgot when it was. No, I forgot where it was. I want to say it was one of my local Walmart stores. But last year in 2020, I remember going to Walmart and I found this wonderful set of aquatic colors of Pilot G207 pens. For the record, I'm not a big fan of retractable pens, but there are some retractable pens that I've encountered over the last several years that I love. And this is definitely one of them. And of course, I want to have my Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person, do a close-up of the pen next to the planner. And you can see why I chose this specific pen for this specific planner. And of course, I love that. Now, one of my favorite purple pens is by Pentel. And I figured because the cover is blue, I'll use a blue pen. Well, this is the shipment that I had received from Amazon.com the other day. And of course I'm going to have Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person, do a close-up of the newly designed barrel. Look at that rich metallic blue, as in... So I'm probably going to go back and forth between the blue and the purple, but for now, I'm going to stick with the blue. Now, here's the thing. I am not going to read the blurb that accompanies January, simply because if you do not have your own copy of this, then it wouldn't be appropriate for me to read the blurb, because the blurb uses this as one of its primary materials. So hopefully in February I can read the blurb, and I'm just going to quickly check now just to make sure that I don't talk out of my ass, or as some people that I happen to know growing up heard, talking out of your neck. Oh, actually I should be able to read February and definitely March. Okay. So, year ahead forecast tarot poll. So I'm going to read the polls, the prompts rather, and then I'm going to cast the cards. So the first one, what am I healing this year? What am I healing in 2022? Which makes perfect sense, and I'll tell you why after I read the prompts. What 3 areas, hopes, or themes will I... There is a distinct lack of light, so if you would kindly hand me my cell phone so I can use the light on my cell phone. That's helping. But do I look whited out and washed out? You sure? Okay. So I'm going to try this again. So I'm going to say this again. What am I healing this year? That's the first one. What 3 areas, topics, or themes will I explore most this year? Pull 3 cards. What could be difficult this year? What quality will I need the most of this year? Will I need the most of this year? So I'm going to read that again. What quality will I need the most of this year? In what area will I see the most change this year? What is it finally? What is it finally time for me to bring forth or create this year? What or who will be my greatest support or helper? Where will I thrive? Oh, I love the word thrive. Okay, so the spirits have been, they've been getting on my case to use Naipes. So I am using a deck of Naipes cards, and it's so funny because, Naipes, I did a video about the Naipes cards several years ago, and, not several years ago, but like roughly 3 years ago, and it remains my most viewed YouTube video, my most commented on, and I was actually delightfully shocked at the sheer number of likes that one video has. So, yeah. I'm not expecting that with this video, but it would be supremely deliciously nice. I'll just say that. But I am going to have Drake do a close-up of the back of the card design. And there will be lots of close-ups because I'll be pulling cards. I shuffled this deck thoroughly, but I'm going to give it a few more shuffles and another cut. Now, I may have mentioned this in that Naipes video, which I will link in this video. But the way that the Naipes cards speak to me, or as we say in Spanish, las barajas españolas, which basically means the Spaniard cards, is that they have very basic interpretations, but they seem, in my experience, to be supremely on the mark. So, I call upon the spirits, I call upon my ancestors, I call upon Isis Fortuna, goddess of the sacred tarot, and by extension divination, to come down and be with me for this casting of the cards right now. Pardon me. And of course, these cards are for the collective. So, what are we healing this year? I have to look at the card because I only do upright meanings. I'm going to have a Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person from my YouTube videos, do a close-up of the card. And then I will look at the card and tell you what it means. So it is the 11 of Cups, or the Jack of Cups. So essentially, or actually I need to say it in Spanish, Caballo de Copas. Caballo de Copas. So one of the things we're going to be healing are our emotions. Our negative emotions and our positive emotions. So I'm going to say we're definitely going to be healing a lot of anger, resentment, bitterness, and unforgiveness. We are absolutely going to heal the areas of our lives where we have withheld love, peace, acceptance, joy from ourselves, others, or both. We're also going to do a deep dive into our emotions. You know, one of the things that I said in a video that I did recently is that 2022 numerologically reduces to 6. And 6 is the number assigned to the Lover's card of the Sacred Tarot, and specifically the major arcana of the tarot. And it doesn't make sense to me from a tarot perspective that the Lover's card would represent a romantic relationship. Because a romantic relationship is more of a mundane matter. It's more of a minor arcana issue, like the Two of Cups, like the Ten of Pentacles. You know, and a lot of people will interpret the Lover's card as a romantic relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that. Part of me is even disinclined to say that the Lover's card is about a twin soul relationship, or a twin flame relationship, or a soul collective relationship, but it really is about the choices that we make that alter our fate and destiny. At least that's what's been coming up for me intuitively regarding Trump 6, the Lover's card of the Sacred Tarot. And looking at El Caballo de Copas, looking at the Jack Knight of Cups, I really feel like we are going to take a deeper dive in healing our emotions. And I feel that a lot of emotional debris is going to come up for us. A lot of emotional debris regarding our emotions about money. A lot of emotional debris about our emotions about sex. A lot of emotional debris about our emotions regarding certain words, like home, family, brother, sister, husband, wife, father, mother, community, country, nation, race. So be aware of the emotions that come up for you. You may even be guided and led to keep a journal where you're making a note of which emotions come up for you, especially when engaged in prayer or meditation. What 3 areas? Oh, it does say arenas. Okay, what 3 arenas, topics, or themes will we, the collective, explore most this year in 2022? I'm pulling 3 cards. Okay. Alright, so I pulled this first, second, third. Okay, so this is the first one. Okay. Another Jack. Or another Knight. Caballo de Bastones. He's on a horse, so I need to say caballo. Caballo, it relates to caballero, as in knight. So, Caballero de Bastones, or Knight of Clubs, because these are really clubs. So we're going to be looking at our spirituality, our psychic development, our magic, especially for those of us who are novice, seasoned, or weathered witches and magical practitioners. So I think, I'm going to say that one of the areas and topics and themes the collective is going to explore in 2022, a Lover's card year, the year of options and opportunities, is psychic development, spiritual unfoldment, magical development, etc. Second area. Okay. Rey de Espadas, King of Swords. King of Swords. So I really feel like we are going to be looking at our mental health and well-being, strengthening it, securing it. And there is something, and here's what I find interesting. Like a lot of Kings of Swords in the Sacred Tarot, The King of Swords in this Naipes deck is holding his sword at an angle. So we're going to also, the collective is also going to look at how we are swayed, how we are distracted, how we are swayed mentally and or emotionally, how we are distracted mentally and emotionally. Most of you know that I am a gay man, and I am particularly fond of and attracted to men who are hairy. Even if they have 3 hairs in the center of their chest, I find them attractive. And there are certain Instagram accounts that I will not follow because they are deliciously distracting. Make no mistake, I could look at these beautiful men and these deliciously attractive men all day, all night, and get nothing done. So, pardon me. Oh, yeah, there's a beverage for me to drink. Thank you, Goddess. I got a little winded when I said that. Pardon me, YouTube land. That's better. Okay. I like take a second sip. I'm like, okay, I'm being obedient. So, I know that the collective needs to be as focused as possible, especially mentally. And then we have close-up, right, Drake? Okay. 8 of clubs. Ocho de bastones. So I definitely feel that one of the other areas we're going to be exploring is our professional endeavors. What we want to do, what we no longer want to do, what no longer serves us, what we can no longer stomach or tolerate, and where else we want to explore. And I also feel that in 2022, we're going to be looking at new areas, literally and figuratively. So we may explore new areas as far as career options, career opportunities. We may explore new locales. Some of you know that I have the honor and pleasure of being an in-store as well as a virtual reader for both Catland Books, more commonly known as Catland, which is in the Bushwick district of Brooklyn, one of the 5 boroughs of New York City, and Notions and Potions, which is in beautiful Beacon, New York, in the Dutchess County, Hudson Valley areas of New York State. And now I have been receiving intuitive leadings that are telling me that new areas, new physical locations are going to be made available to me. So I definitely feel like the universe, or as I call her, the great goddess, is presenting me new opportunities. And I have worked with Amy C. Wilson of Moon, Serpent, and Bone twice already. And after what I experienced earlier this month at the 3rd annual Yule Market, it is a very safe bet that I will be returning to the magical markets that Moon, Serpent, and Bone offers at the Locust Grove Estate, which is in Poughkeepsie, which happens to be the county seat of Dutchess County in New York State. So I really feel like a lot of new locales are opening up for me. And it's quite possible that new areas, again, literally and figuratively, are opening up for the collective in 2022. Okay. What could be difficult this year? Again, the operative phrase is could be. So, yes. I'm looking at the cards because sometimes these cards come out reversed, and I don't remember how I had them oriented, so I'm pretty sure that I had them upright, and I kept them upright, but I'm checking just to be sure. So this is the card that represents what could be difficult for the collective in 2022, a Lover's card year, the year of options and opportunities. It is the 8 of Swords, or Ocho de Espadas. So I feel like one of the things that could be difficult for the collective is knowing which opportunities to accept, knowing which opportunities to decline, and also really detaching emotionally from the situations and the people that no longer serve our needs. And what came to me immediately just now is doing a cord cutting ritual or a cord-cutting ceremony. There are so many books that will list one, and I know that one could find a cord-cutting ceremony or ritual on the internet. There's actually an amazing cord-cutting ritual ceremony that I found in a book, and unfortunately, I do not remember the exact title of the book. But I remember being introduced to the book by my very first spiritual teacher, and when I happened to look at the back of the book, I was pleasantly surprised to see that the author looked very much like my very first spiritual teacher, and I was like, oh, you can't make this stuff up, man. You just cannot. So when I find that book again, I will happily include it. Well, I'll hopefully remember to include it in the description box, which will be updated by then. Okay, so what quality will I need the most of this year in 2022? What quality will I need the most of? Will I need to have in greatest abundance for me, for the collective in 2022? And this is the card that represents it. Six of Coins. Se de Oros. In Spanish tarot decks and in the Naipes, the coins, pentacles, are referred to as oros, which would be golds, as in pieces of gold. So, or coins of gold. So, seis de oros, or six of coins. So, what we will need the most of. Yes, what quality will we need the most of in 2022? Prosperity consciousness. Let me put it to you this way. You cannot afford to have a negative thought about money. You cannot afford, literally and figuratively, to maintain a negative belief system about money, professional success, prosperity, poverty consciousness, wealthy people. You just cannot afford it. You will be fucked up the ass in all the ways that are extremely unpleasant if you maintain those negative thoughts about money, prosperity, about receiving, about finding yourself worthy to receive. In what areas will the collective see the most change this year? In what areas? It doesn't say to pull multiple cards, so I'm going to pull two, because I'm getting that guidance and leading to pull two. So this one's first, this one's second. Drake, first, second. Okay, so the first area, money. And I just heard a buzz of my cell phone, so that's confirmation. In what areas will the collective see the most change this year? Money. And I am getting this for the collective. So I do feel that there is going to be an increase in personal prosperity, number one. There is going to be an increase in the collective's prosperity. I do feel that the state in which you live, the country in which you live, the area in which you live is going to experience an increase in money, prosperity, financial value, etc. And the other area, this is the Jack of Swords, or, you know, it's funny, I don't remember the Spanish word for Jack. It's so funny because I keep hearing niño. Niño is the Spanish word for boy, as in little boy. And pages in the tarot chronologically represent a child between the ages of, I know the maximum age is 16. What's the young? Oh, infancy, of course. Infancy to 16. Although I keep hearing 15 for some reason, so I'm going to go with that. So, so this is the Jack of Swords, and Niño o la Niña de Espadas. So I feel like one of the other changes that we're going to experience, that the collective is going to experience, has to do with how we have always looked at things. And we may be guided and led, the collective may be guided and led to look at things as if a child would. I remember years ago, I was having a conversation with somebody. I think he was in his 20s at the time. I don't remember his name, I barely remember what he looks like, but he had said something that I found fascinating. He said, he held up one of those miniature cars, like Matchbox cars, and he said, "What's this?" And I said, "It's one of those Matchbox cars, like Matchbox 20 or whatever the brand is." And he's like, "You're right. But to a child, this could be anything. This could be an eraser. This could be a time travel machine. This could be whatever. Because a child doesn't have those limitations of, well, this is this, and this can only be this." Like, I could look at, like, I'm looking at this like this is a Yule trail. And I'm looking at this like this is a star. And I'm looking at this like this is a light. But to a child, this could be Mother Earth. This could be the sun. This could be, a spiritual ally. So the collective is going to look at things differently, like from the perspective of a child. I'm very intrigued by that interpretation, I must say. What is it finally time for me to bring forth or create in 2022? So what is it finally time for the collective to bring forth or create in 2022, a Lover's card year, the year of options and opportunities? Here's the card that represents that. It's so funny. I hear the phrase new love energy, which is the intuitive interpretation that I have for the Ace of Cups. This is, in the Naipes deck, As de Copas, Ace of Cups. Now, I am going to quote one of my gay male ancestors. I think it was him. Oscar Wilde. Granted, he's not an ancestor by blood. He's not an ancestor by ethnicity or by race, but he is definitely an ancestor in that he is one of the gay men that came before me. And I believe this expression is attributed to him, and if it's not, I'll make sure that I include the correct attribution in the description box. To love oneself is to begin a lifelong romance. So I feel that the collective is going to begin loving themselves more beautifully, more profoundly, more wholly, as in W-H-O-L-L-L, holy, W-H-O-L-L-Y, holy, than the collective ever thought they would. And I must admit, reading Letters to Louise, The Answers Are Within You by the late and great Louise L. Hay, has caused me and reminded me about the importance of my self-love and my self-esteem levels. So I definitely feel like that is something that's going to be profoundly impacted for the collective in 2022. What or who will be the greatest support or helper? What or who will be the greatest support or helper? If it is a person, it's a who. If it is a thing, it's a what. It's a person. Reina de Oros, or traditionally in a tarot deck, Queen of Pentacles. So that Taurus woman or that Capricorn woman that gives us great advice, especially about money and career. That woman who Isis loves to be seen and not heard. excuse me, I keep messing that up. She loves to be heard but not seen. Isis, the alpha female, loves to be heard but not seen. Getting back to Reina de Oros, definitely somebody who is like a mother figure to us, who may not necessarily be a sun sign Taurus or a sun sign Capricorn. I will say that in a lot of my readings, or in a lot of the times that I cast the cards in my YouTube videos, I am tuning into the polar opposite energy. So it's quite possible that this woman is a sun sign Scorpio, polar opposite of Taurus, or a sun sign Cancer, polar opposite of Capricorn. Where will I thrive? Oh, I love that question. Where will I thrive? Where will we thrive? Where will the collective thrive? We begin thriving after the beginning of, in my part of the world, the vernal equinox, what in many magical traditions is called Ostara. For those of you in the southern hemisphere, on and after the autumnal equinox, what some magical traditions refer to as Mabon. So if you live in the northern hemisphere, after the vernal equinox of 2022. I do not recall offhand, but it is roughly, usually most years, the vernal equinox, or for those of you in the southern hemisphere, the autumnal equinox is March 20th. So, and I have a feeling that this year it'll either be March 20th or March 21st. You know, it's funny, I remember several years ago, my personal psychic advisor had posted on his Facebook page the cover of a pizza box from which he had ordered, pardon me, and it just so happened that the cover of the pizza box had an image almost identical to this one. And he quipped something like, "I just ordered from Ace of Wands Pizza." And of course the pizzeria was not called Ace of Wands, but it had a big wand on the cover of the box, and right in the center too. So I always think about that when I see this card, especially in the Naipes, because the wand on the pizza box looked more like this than, let's say, the Ace of Wands that one would experience in a tarot deck. And of course the final message card is oh, they're like you forgot something. So again, so in Western astrology, the vernal equinox is the first day of the sun's transit in Aries, the sign of new beginnings. Also, it is the beginning of the new astrological year. So the new astrological year always begins on the date of the vernal equinox. So whenever that date is, that is the first day of the new astrological year. And of course, for those in the southern hemisphere, it would be, actually, I think it would be the same. It would be the vernal equinox, because that is when that is the first day of Aries. But again, in the southern hemisphere, when it's the vernal equinox or Ostara for us, it is the autumnal equinox or Mabon for them. And the final message card is this, which is Reina de Espadas, Queen of Swords. So we are being reminded to absolutely maintain emotional detachment, to create and maintain emotional detachment. And I'm hearing the voice of Teresa Reed, more commonly known as the Tarot Lady, about boundaries. So I feel that one of the most important things that the collective can do to love itself so much more deeply, so much more powerfully, so much more healingly, in 2022, a Lover's card year, and the year of options and opportunities, is to create and maintain boundaries. I am immensely thankful to the Sarah Faith Gottesdiener Goddess on Instagram for writing and co-creating this amazing lunar planner that brings me so much joy, so much insight, and so much depth. And that also connects me more deeply to my moon magic. And of course, I want to thank all of you in YouTube land for honoring who I am and what I do, and for honoring Drake, more commonly known as my awesome audiovisual person, for my YouTube videos and everything he does for me as well. Thank you, of course, for all the likes, all the comments, all the shares, and all the subscriptions to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for scheduling your sessions, and thank you for buying me a coffee. I wish all of you a beautiful evening, a wondrous Ujamaa principle of Kwanzaa, a happy Wednesday, a beautiful week, a happy holiday season, happy New Year, and of course stay tuned for the next video.